Back when I was in high school, I had some friends whose parents were business partners, and on occasion I'd go to breakfast with the two fathers. We're talking about the stock market, talking about politics, talking about business, and then one day one of the fathers shows up, the other one wasn't there, and the next week the other one shows up and the first one wasn't there. So I said, what's going on? They said, we're having a dispute. We don't like what's happening in our business. We'd like to talk to you about it. Well, I'm 17 years old. And I said, how can I help you? Well, listen to our problem and tell us which one is right. And Mr. Inside Guy thought the Mr. Outside Guy got to go out and play golf all the time with their clients and traveled and they got to stay in hotels and got swimming and play golf and things like that. And Mr. Outside Guy said, Mr. Inside Guy has it easy. He goes home every night. He sees his family. I see my family only on weekends. Both of them thought the other one was making too much money. So they said, help us decide who's right. I had been a Boy Scout, and in the Boy Scouts it says, the only way to understand someone is to walk a mile in their moccasins. So I sat down with them at breakfast on the fourth week and said, why don't you switch jobs? Well, neither one of them wanted to do that, but I convinced them to try it for a week. And I said, then call me. One person called me at 7 o'clock, one person called me at 8 o'clock and tell me how it went that day. And so the first day was okay, except it was confusing to both of them. Second day went okay. The third day, it was a blow up. Mr. Outside Guy is a very type A personality, very aggressive. He hears an argument going on with two of the employees, so he walks out and fires both of them. And with that, the supervisor quits and the manager quits of that department. And Mr. Inside Guy, who's on the road, calls me, says, I'm going back home tomorrow. You screwed up the whole business. It's going to sink, it's going to do this, it's going to do that. And I said, you and Mr. Outside Guy both go to these people's houses, apologize to them, hire them back, give them like a $50 bonus to come back to work, which back then was about a week's salary, and get them on board. And everything will be smoothed over. The thing to learn is the learning mistake. You're learning by your mistakes. It's a learning opportunity. So we met when they got back early the next morning for breakfast. They went to work. They called these people, so we're coming over. We want to apologize. Everybody came back to work. It cost them a couple of dollars to get the people to come back to work, but they came back. And they said, okay, the week's over. We're going to go back to our jobs. And I said, no, do it one more week. This week was learning experience. Next week's going to be a better learning experience because you have more opportunity. The two couples wanted to take me out to dinner. And so we went to a nice restaurant in the Country Club Plaza in Kansas City. And as we're leaving, they hugged me, and the two ladies, the wives, kissed me and said, oh, thank you for keeping the business together. And they gave me an envelope. This is a thank you note we wrote for you. So I go home, take off my sport jacket, and look at the envelope, and there's 5 $100 bills in there. So I showed my parents, like, what'd you do? And I said, I just helped them a little bit. Well, there must have been a lot because that's a lot of money. You can't take that. So I called both of them and said, I appreciate the offer, but that's too much money. And they said, no. We've had a lawyer look at it. We've had an accountant look at it. We went to a psychologist. We spent more than that already, and we couldn't get it resolved. And here's a 17-year-old kid that gave us a resolution on it. So you deserve it. So I kept it. And when I became a young stockbroker, they heard about it in the grapevine of Kansas City. And they were two of the first people to come down and open an account with me. They kept it as long as they were alive. The word kept spreading. And so I became an advisor to a number of companies in Kansas City and a board member over the years to a few companies also. But I had been advised by my professors down at the University of Missouri to not become a full board member, but an advisory board member. Advisory board member has no voting rights, has no responsibilities, and is not responsible if something goes wrong. So every board I've been on has been an advisory board, just sitting on the board meeting, offering recommendations, but no voting. So it's worked out well over the years. I've helped a number of companies, of young people, older people. Most of them eventually became clients. Many of the clients are here that we've got today are a result of what I did to help these families resolve problems. A lot of them were problems between business partners. Others were problems between brothers, between fathers and sons, and then sometimes the grandson came into the business, and sometimes it was the grandfather and the grandson that were against the son, and the son was making right decisions. So I sat down with the 3 generations, talked to them, met with each of them individually, and then helped come up with a solution that most of the families came back together. And it was a matter of communication, or lack of communication, so lack of misunderstanding. And they always say that sometimes perception is stronger than reality, and a lot of times there's a perception that someone was doing something or saying something behind their backs. So we opened a line of communication with these families that made it much more tolerable. And most of the companies stayed together, most of the brothers and the families became closer together because they're willing to share and risk sharing some things that they probably wouldn't have shared otherwise. I don't seek to go out and help people. If people come to me and ask me for help, I do it. And I've always believed when is help helpful? when it's asked for. If it's not asked for and the people think they're doing a great job, let them do it. When they find out they got a problem, sometimes they'll call me, sometimes they don't. Some companies have gone out of business. I've been fortunate that out of the people I've helped, I've only had 1 or 2 companies who were on the verge of bankruptcy that actually went into bankruptcy, but then I helped them restructure it where the family could keep some assets and make it a success. Clients have come to me because of that. Clients who had problems have come to me with family problems, and I've been able to help them work through it, meeting with the different parts of the family. And as I mentioned before, we've had several people who husbands and wives divorced, and in almost every case, we've kept both sides of the family. And the family's been happy and did not resent that I was working with the other side of the family, because I was always neutral. I was always trying to help them resolve their difficulties, and it worked out very well. I'm excited that Craig is taking the reins because I've trained him for 25 years. And he's a slow learner, but there's a lot to impart and information to give him. And he's far surpassed what I thought anybody would be capable of doing. He's outstanding on communications. He does a good job of talking with our clients, young and old. In the beginning, a lot of the older clients felt like he's just a kid, but he's a smart kid. And the more they talk to him and they sit in meetings, and a lot of times I said, don't say anything for a while. And then I would ask Craig his advice with some of the clients and let him talk on certain subjects he really was an expert on. And they were impressed with him. A lot of people called me up later and said, gee, he really is a smart young man, isn't he? I said, yeah, that's the reason I hired him. I don't want to hire dummies. And I want to hire people who are personable. And he's done a very good job. So I'm excited about it. I've got all of our family money here and we'll stay here. I know it's going to be in good hands. I know that Craig will do a good job. As the reins pass, it's already really passed. He's now the sole shareholder, and I'm here as a consultant to the company. But a lot of the clients are still mine, and they've been dealing with me now for almost 60 years. And so it's an amazing thing to go work with 4 generations of some of these families and work with 2 and 3 generations of many of these families. And they've got faith in me. They like me to be in the meetings, but I'm trying to pass it off to Craig where he can do the meetings by himself, and he's done a good job of bonding with these people, which I think is a good word for it, because he's got a work ethic that I think is very, very admirable, and I feel very comfortable with what he's doing.
So I've been very fortunate during my career to have Howard as my mentor, a friend, business partner, almost like a second father. It's been a great relationship going back to the time I was 20 years old as a sophomore in college, as an intern, and having this relationship where we can literally talk about anything, whether it's business or personal, and just have somebody that I know is going to give me great advice. But the greatest thing that Howard did was he always allowed me to make decisions, whether he thought they were the right decisions or not, and experience real life if I was making a mistake or not. And obviously none of them were anything that would be detrimental, but things that you can learn from. And so we all, whether it was, as he mentioned earlier, creating a website when the firm didn't have one, or creating marketing materials, or any idea that I had, he always gave me the ability to go explore that and do it. When we made the transition to structured products and alternatives and private investing, that was a complete departure from what we had done throughout our history. And he embraced it from the beginning and was excited to learn why I wanted to do it, and embraced it personally and professionally. And so it's always been this great relationship that we've had together, of almost being able to finish each other's sentences and be able to work with clients very well, because we know what each other's thinking in a meeting, and we think very similarly on how to solve problems. One of the great things that Paragon has is our backgrounds. So Howard and I both have a substantial amount of background working in a trust company. And so while we don't give legal advice, we can guide our clients into what they need to talk to their estate planning attorney about. Different strategies of setting up charitable remainder trusts, or trust to pass money to the next generation. Things that we've seen throughout our career that have worked for other clients that we can impart to our current clients. We don't give tax advice, but we have seen a lot of different things over the years, either personally or with our clients, that we can suggest to our clients to talk to their CPA or their tax professional about. We don't give business consulting advice, but we have seen a lot where we can give that guidance to our clients and and make recommendations that they might want to think about in their businesses, whether it's Howard's famous expression of, you don't retire from a job, you retire to something. And so, countless number of clients that we've, given guidance when they want to retire, of whether they're ready or not, and ways for them to think about what are they going to do post-retirement. And sometimes that's taking a sabbatical to test the waters of retirement and realizing that they're not ready. Just different things like that we've been able to use our collective experiences to pass on to clients. And that is a service we don't charge for, but really I think makes Paragon unique in that our clients are working directly with business owners that have dealt in a lot of the same experiences that they have dealt with. And so we're not talking about theoretical situations. We're talking about real situations that we've either dealt with personally or we've worked through with other clients.